You are listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola, where creativity is showcased in its many dimensions. A time to celebrate, empower, inspire, and equip creatives with thought-provoking interviews and up-to-date information.
Hello and welcome to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola. I guess by now you know that this is the show where we celebrate creativity in its many dimensions, talking about hobbies, crafts, passions, skills. And in our next season, we're going to be talking about business and entrepreneurship. So let's come back to where we are right now. Now, some of you may be joining today because every week I get new listeners. So I just want to give you an opportunity to find out what the show is all about. And for those of you that have been listening every week, hey, you get to hear it again. So what is my show about? It showcases creativity. We breathe creativity. We live creativity. We embrace creativity, enjoy creativity. And my special one, we celebrate creativity. And I'm your host, and I love everything to do with creativity. And on this platform, we share, we energize, we equip, and we just explore. It is a great opportunity for people to think about their past in that world, their present, and ongoing experiences, which I know would be something that somebody will be able to glean off. Today, I have a very special guest in the studio with me. And you know why I'm excited? Because he's my first male guest on the show. And we're going to be having so much fun. Now, for those of you who know my show, I do have play of words. I'm going to be playing with one word, and hopefully that word is going to feed into some of the things we're going to be talking about. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my guest. My guest is a DJ. Now, I know some of you going, DJ. Do you know what? I guess you know somebody who loves music, somebody who loves to dance, somebody who loves to mix. So this is your opportunity to quickly go and grab the phone or your iPad or whatever it is and get them tuned in to us so that they can also glean and enjoy what this show is all about. So now I'm going to have a quick play of words, and my word for today is communication. What is communication? And I'm going to be weaving what communication is all about into this conversation. It's going to be very interesting. DJ communication. Hey, let's go with it. So I'm going to give you a brief definition of communication before I bring my guest on. Communication can be defined as the exchange of information, ideas, thoughts between two or more people. Communication can come in various forms, including verbal and non-verbal, and it goes body language. So you can see where I'm coming from with this communication, because there's something about the DJ that has a great connection with body language, with facial expressions, and possibly the DJ himself, tone of voice. Now, you've heard my voice and you've heard enough of me. So let me just get on with it and invite my amazing guest in the name of Abba Kamara, but I'm just going to be calling him today DJ Abba. You are welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here this evening.
I'm glad to be here, and my energy, because I'm thinking I'm speaking to a DJ, so my energy level has to be a bit. But you know what? Before we go into that, I was reading your bio, and it says you're from Sierra Leone. Now, I'm going to start by telling you something about Sierra Leone, something that I love about Sierra Leone. And I'm going to ask, like with everything, we put everybody in Sierra Leone in a box and say you're all Sierra Leones and you're all one. But I'm going to tell you, I think you're going to believe and you're going to buy into this, that Sierra Leoneans, they have a very strong community. And they, for me, have redefined the word barbecue. My children really wanted to change their nationality just because of a barbecue event. And I'm giving a shout out to my friend Susan Conte, who invited me to a barbecue. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to this barbecue. We're going to have burger. And what a surprise I was in for. It was a feast. I'm telling you, it was a feast. I said, barbecue? There was dishes galore. And I enjoyed the fish And my favorite soup is
Yes,
cassava
of
leaf.
course.
So do you agree with me that
I do.
Sierra Leone, what's your experience and what's your favorite food? What do you cook? Do you cook? Because I found out that men cook as well.
Yes, men cook. So most of our staple diet is rice, but then we can mix that with either cassava leaf or potato leaves, or we've got greens. There's the leaves that they call greens. So we've got variety of different types of dishes that we do have. But what happens in a barbecue really? There's the meat side where within that we've got the burgers, the chops, the chicken, and different variety of chicken, so pepper chicken, etc., etc. But then you also have the party type of food. So the party type of food is sort of the jollof rice and the cassava leaves and sometimes the fufu as well. So you go to some barbecues, you would find fufu there. Summer is one of the best times for Sierra Leone community there as well. I also organize a huge barbecue where we have about 400 people turning up every summer.
Wow, 400 people.
It's a huge event.
So tell me about this event, this barbecue. Where was this held, and how would you have a barbecue with a grill that will have 400 people? Tell me.
So again, very similar. It's a charity event that we run, and it's sort of a family fun day kind of thing. So you've got adults and you've got children as well as part of this venue. It's a paid event, and what happens is we run it from 12 in the afternoon up to about 8 in the evening, and we just have this huge spread of barbecue of everything: meat, chicken, fish, corn. So all of that's there. But also there's the foods that you've been talking about. People pay to come in about 20-25 pounds, and you can eat as much as you want. And that is the main community event on barbecue.
Your core are Sierra Leoneans. Now, I hope that I've made my listeners hungry.
You are listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.
So now it's all about why you are here and why the listeners have tuned in. I'm going to read a little bit about what you said in your bio. You said you've lived around music all your life. And according to your bio, your dad was a great influence at that time. And I'd say the quote you said, Dad played music all the time at home, in his car, and the office. Hence, music was a great influence. My question to you is that, what kind of music were you listening to then? And has your taste changed? And were you fed up then? Like, please give me a break. What was that life like for you?
Yeah. Well, those were good days. And, my dad is no longer with us. May his soul rest in peace. But he really brought me into music. And those days, he listened to a lot of English music. So the Dolly Partons, the various English artists, the 80s, and some African artists like Yvonne Chaka Chaka, Jodie Spencer, and stuff. He listened to those, and those songs had meanings to it. They always had some word of advice, because sometimes we could be listening to it and he would say to me, "Oh, did you hear that? Did you hear what they're saying? I hope you listen to that advice and take it on board as you grow up, as you grow older." So we've kind of grown with such songs. And even though those days we had real dance tunes, we left that for the clubs. So things like Ride on Time and Never Gonna Give You Up and so on, Fresh, Cool and the Gang, Celebration, all of these stuff. These were songs that I used to enjoy when I was getting older. But I was always grounded when I'm with him. You wake up on a Sunday morning and all you could hear is these nice Sunday tunes being played around the house. And so I grew with that. And that's influenced my journey within DJ, because I started off really going to people's houses having a chat. But then there was never music, or even if they had music, there was never enough to entertain people. So many years ago, I started off with the Windows Media Player on my computer, and I'll plug some speakers onto it or connect it to the system within my house or somebody's house. And that's how I started. And it was really just a hobby. And until I got to a point where somebody asked me one day, "Oh, can you come and play for my party?" And I said, "I don't have anything." And I remember rushing out to go and buy a whole DJ equipment that cost me, I think, £500. It was speakers, amplifiers, etc., etc. And that's really how I started. And then gradually it just grown and tried to understand other genres of music. I don't only play African songs. I mix them with Caribbean, with English, with Zimbabwean songs, with now I'm a piano, South African, etc., etc. So all of those things come together when I do play my songs. Yeah.
Fantastic. Wow, what a journey. Now, I never really like to assume, and I know we've just delved into DJ, and somebody might be listening and going, what is that? Who is a DJ? What is that?
Basically, it means disc jockey.
Yeah.
So the disc jockey is somebody who can put some songs together from different genres, create a mix, and get people dancing. And there's a friend of mine who likes to call himself a DJ, but he's one of those that just plays around with music, like how I started. And I always say to him, "Listen, man, you're not a DJ. You are a music man, because you can put music together and hope that it comes out well to play. But a real DJ listens to music, listens to sounds, and observes people on the dance floor and works with those people to get something creative out of it. So there's a huge creativity within being a DJ. There's unfortunately, there are times you go out and you find people who call themselves DJs, but you have an audience that turn around and say, "Oh, this guy seems to be playing for himself." And that's not the case. You've got to be a DJ. You've got to be able to understand your crowd, understand your music, and understand how you mix that together.
Fantastic. One thing that really fascinates me, and you've touched on it a bit, is the amount of equipment that is involved, especially those round things, the turntables that, does its thing. And you just said there, sometimes I think they're having fun, they're entertaining themselves. But like you said, that, people really look at the crowd. Now I'm going to quickly, you've also talked about it a bit, because I put out a caption. I said, what has creativity got to do with DJing, especially if you're playing other people's songs? I have my views on that, because how I met you, I'm going to touch on that, but I want your view on that in itself. You've talked about being creative, but can you dig a little bit deeper about how creativity really blends in, how music blends in with creativity?
Within music, you've got genres, you've got beats, you've got your equipment, as you've mentioned, which is a controller. And within the controller as well, you've got levels of sounds, bass, treble, mid, they call it mid, high, etc. You've got all of those things within that equipment as well. So it's constantly thinking of how can I make people, or continue making people, be entertained? What's the next track? How does the next track fit in with what I've currently got? How can I come from something fast and go into something slow? So there's all of these things. And if you aren't a creative person and you're not able to forward plan, forward think, allow your mind to go at 100 miles per hour and feel engulfed with all of this music around you, it has to consume you. And having all that around you creates that sense of achievement in the end, when you're able to demonstrate your ability to make people enjoy themselves. And that's where the creativity lies, really.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you one other thing where I see creativity lie, because you demonstrated that to me without even, maybe you didn't even know. And I'm going to talk about how we met, because you DJ'd for an event of an organization where I worked. And I just said, you know what, I need a DJ, because as far as I was concerned, I just needed somebody to play music. That was my definition of a DJ.
Yes.
And you came up with a brilliant idea. It was an award. And you said, do you know what? These different people that are having their awards, where do they come from? Give me their list and let me create a list so that every time each person from that particular country comes up, I play that music. And for me, that was creativity at its height, because every time each person got up and heard music, there was that association and there was that drive. What was the thinking behind that? Because that blew me away. What was your thinking? Because that for me was creativity in its height, because everybody was just so excited. And it was great because we had a range. We had a range of cultures for you to choose from. So how did that process work to really?
Yeah, I've always found that people are most comfortable playing their own kinds of music, most comfortable. They would dance different things, but they're most comfortable with their own cultural stuff or their own national music, etc. And how best were we going to get these people more excited? My job is to excite people. My job is to make somebody feel happy when they hear music. And the best way of doing this was to play their music whilst they were going for their awards. So I had to research, especially in countries that I normally don't play for, like Poland and
Romania,
Romania and Italy, Spain, and all of these things. So I had to research what was really exciting them and what was trending in their environments at that time. So for them to hear their own, and for instance, I also played, I think it was a Cameroonian song.
Yes.
And the guy came to me and said he himself has never heard that one, but it was brilliant, and it was just nice to have excited people just because I played something they were very familiar with. And all the guests who came to support them were all enthused with it, etc. And at the end as well, once the party started and I was able to play songs within all of those nationalities, it was so nice because different nationalities supported other nationalities in their own local songs. And it was just beautiful to see. And the dances as well, because each nation had their own ways of dancing their song. And that was brilliant for me.
And there was a lot of learning. There was a lot of learning.
There was a lot of learning.
So it was like music. It's a barrier breaker. And what I took from that, when I said that, playing other people's music, I think one advantage that you have as a DJ is that you are able to bring so many things into the room, as opposed to a musician who is limited to their world. You are able to export, import, whatever the word is, different cultures into the same space within the same time frame.
Yes. And that's what makes it beautiful. That's what makes DJs stand out from others, because bringing all the genres together and making it sound as one at the end of the party or the event is what makes a DJ very creative. But not just that, it's also the amount of work you do prior to the event, is the research you do, the questions you ask. I tend to have at least a 10, 20, 15, 20 minutes conversation with the event organizers, and just to give me a feel of what the event's going to be about. And then I do my research, and then I go and
I think we were a bit too excited because we did more than an hour conversation, because when you went into the nationalities, you gave me homework and I'm thinking, I just wanted somebody to play. But honestly, it was worth it. And I think we've also touched on the question that I wanted to ask around how you use music to enrich and empower. And I think you've just given great examples of how you use music from different places to empower, because I saw it in action. I saw everybody dancing and it was the first time I really paid attention to what the DJ was actually delivering, because it changed the atmosphere. It really did.
You are listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.
I'm going to ask him, does he believe or does he consider music a language of communication? What do you think?
I believe, yes, music is a language of communication, and maybe old school. I'm old school, but I think more and more of the songs that come out these days, there's one or two words, and majority of it is beats. So there's more focus on beats and tunes as opposed to words of songs. Up until maybe the 90s.
But then we could argue, though, that because communication can be verbal and non-verbal, the dance, the rhythm, the movements we could say that also could count for a form of language, body language, which communication also has said that it's, but again, it's down to interpretation. It's down to what you think. So I'm going to go with what you've just said. And I'm going to delve into a different part of DJ Abba's life. In his bio, he mentioned that he has 25 years background within the social care and social services sector. And he's currently a managing director of a care company. And I was just wondering, what's a typical day like for you in the company, and how do we marry these two worlds? So first of all, if you don't mind, just talk us through your day.
Yes. Yeah, so my typical day is supporting managers who manage these care services. So the managers are registered managers under CQC and work with people with learning disabilities, etc. So my role really is to ensure that these services are well managed and we're meeting the requirements and legislation set by the government and the Care Quality Commission.
Okay. And have you had an opportunity to bring in the hat of the DJ? Have you thrown a party? Have you had an opportunity? Or what is the link for you in terms of what you do as a DJ and what you do doing I know for me, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking I can see one common link, but have you recognized that common link? What's it about it for you that you think both of them bring together?
I think I'm a fun-going person, and I've always wanted to give to people. So when I'm playing a DJ, I'm giving to people, making sure that everybody's happy. And similarly, when I work within the care sector, it's also about giving and trying to make people with learning disabilities or varied disabilities happy as well. We kind of run Christmas events as well, where I am more than happy to take a few equipments and go play music. We in the past we've set up cultural events where we've had different nations come with stalls within the confines of an area, and have all our clients and family members attend those events and are able to explore different nations whilst we play music in the background. So yes, I've tried to intertwine some of it, and sometimes if there's somebody who's me says, can you bring some music? It's my birthday. I'll just take something with little box or something and just go play for them. So
fantastic. So it is really nice, and I think you said the common thing is it's about people, it's about giving back, and it's about service. It's really about serving people. So I like that. I also find out that you find yourselves in spaces that you really are a people's person, because I'm looking at your bio. It says you're also the social secretary of your Old Boys Association. And my question to you is this one place where you relax and let other people do it, or you have to be there? You have to be the DJ, or you just say, do you know what, let somebody else do that. Let me have my different kind of fun. How does it work?
Just let your listeners know, the Old Boys Association, this is my school's alumni.
Okay.
And we had set up for many years, they'd set up a charity to help the school kids back in Africa. And so my role is, as a social secretary, is to organize charity events for people to come in and celebrate with us, but also donate, buy tickets, food, etc., etc. So that's usually my role. When I first took over, I thought, I can organize this, run it, and at the same time play as a DJ at that event. And unfortunately, it was tough. Very tough, almost bordering disaster, because every time I went, fortunately I had an assistant DJ with me, but every time I came and took over from him, it was a situation where somebody needed something at that moment. And they would call me and I'll be distracted, and I was like, okay, just one more song. And so since then, I get another DJ to come in and take over the events. I don't normally run it.
So you retire during that. That's good. But you had to learn the hard way. I was also looking, and one thing that intrigued me was that you were able to set up an event during the COVID period, and you did that gospel party every Sunday during COVID. Do you want to talk me through that? What was that like? And I mean, that was a totally different shift from taking in all your speakers. And was that easy to do that transition? And what was that experience like for you?
Well, it was a very interesting experience, because those days, the COVID days, were days where people had church services from their homes. People weren't allowed to go into a church building, so the church came to them. And there were so many people who used to use the church as a means of meeting other people, having fun after the service, and that was gone. So one day I just thought to myself, how can I bring that to people in their own homes? So I created this Zoom, I called it a Zoom gospel hour, but I played gospel for 2 hours. And what it did was people saw each other in the Zoom. So I would have about 100 people. All of them logged on to Zoom, and I would play music, and it was all upbeat, party type of gospel stuff. And they would have finished their church service, and I would start from 2:00 till 4, and everyone would be in their own living rooms and dancing and singing and praising. It was just nice. It was brilliant. And then what I did was, after that, I left the Zoom on for like another 10, 15, 20 minutes, and people were talking to themselves across the Zoom. And it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And I thank God I had the wisdom and the creativity to come up with something like that, which up till this day, people still talk about it.
I love the word you used there, creativity. So that creativity came in there, and, so that's a really commendable thing to do, especially at that time. Again, your people's skills coming into play in terms of serving people and making people feel comfortable in a very difficult and challenging time. And I love the fact that you keep on using my favorite word, creativity.
You are listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola, showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.
I'm going to ask you, DJ Abba, what tips would you give to people? Some people might be listening and going, do you know what? I've always wanted to be a DJ. I've always wanted to do this, but I have no idea where and how to start. What would be one tip that you would give them to set them on that journey of becoming not somebody that just likes changing songs, but actually a DJ? What would you say to them?
Well, I say I am a self-taught DJ because I used YouTube a lot to show me certain things. So what I'll do is I'll go to certain events, and I'll hear what a DJ has done, and I ask myself, how do you do that? So then I go and try and work it out myself. But one tip I would give anybody, if you have the passion to be a DJ, then follow that passion. Go out there. Don't start buying expensive stuff. You could easily spend, up to about 100, 200 pounds to get a few equipments that you can start off with. Start in your bedroom, in your dining room, living room. Practice as much as you can. Do a lot of free events for people. Go to their, offer yourself to parties here and there. Anything going, just so that you can go and people can start listening to you. That builds confidence, and then you can end up becoming a DJ.
Fantastic. So at least that's something to think about and start and practice with friends and family. And that's what you did. I mean, I saw you at the event that you did where you got an award for your voluntary service, just serving and just helping, DJing at every charity event that they have. And these are the Essex Sierra Leonean Society. Now, again, on the other side, what is a challenge that you think, it's worth them knowing ahead of time? And I'm going to piggyback before you answer that, because I have a challenge that I face with DJs based on the fact that when I do hall decorations. And my challenge that I have with DJs is that we spend the whole day decorating, and the DJs come at the last minute. They come with these massive speakers and they say, you have to move this, you have to move that. They never come on time, except one person that I know and a couple, which is, I will commend you for at least saying, having conversation. Where am I? What am I going to do? Where is my space? So for me, that's one of the challenges that I faced with DJs. So what challenges do you face that you think it's worth people knowing?
Well, before I say anything, for me, a DJ, I always attribute to being a driver, just almost like a driver for a vehicle. No matter how packed that car is, the driver would always have his space. So I think DJs have that attitude that you could decorate as much as you want, but I need my space because I am the one everyone is going to be looking at, and I'm performing here. But I think the biggest challenge is time. So it's going there before everyone else, or the first person after the decorators, and you're the last person to leave. That's always a challenge. It is tough. And also it's the physicality of it. So it's carrying your equipment, loading your vehicle, unloading your vehicle, etc., etc. But the biggest challenge for me has always been the first person out there. And by the end of the event, everyone disappears and you're the last to leave. Embrace that, and it becomes part of your ambition. Then why not? It's fine. It's fun. It's fun. DJ, I couldn't have chosen any other hobby than DJing. It transcends into so many different aspects of life. And one thing I would say is that during COVID, I actually missed, it's like I'd lost something. I missed playing, and I realized that it also helps with stress levels, with mental health, etc. Because preparing for an event, you would be going a whole week sometimes, thinking of what it is I need to play, what it is I need to bring out, what equipments do I have, what do I need to take, the whole, etc., etc. So all that helps you mentally from getting distracted and other things happening to you. It's a lovely thing. It's a lovely thing, and I don't regret being part of it.
Great. So I can tell that also there are transferable skills, working with what you do during the daytime. You have to have that patience. You have to. And I'll tell you one thing that I did and I looked at, which was an incentive to me, was I thought, how much do DJs get paid? You don't need to tell me, but I'll tell you what I found out, which was quite interesting. I thought, who gets the highest paid? Who's the highest paid DJ? Do you know the answer? If not, I'll tell you.
I probably will go with David Guetta.
I have Calvin Harris, and he's on 66 million. Although they've said it's important to know that their earnings also, they have tours, they have sales, they have endorsements that may be embedded in that. But I felt that was very enlightening to find out that it can be a lucrative, apart from the passion, it could have, could have a very good financial reward. This is where I ask, what is your definition of creativity? What's your definition of creativity?
Creativity, from my perspective, is thinking outside the box. And when I say thinking outside the box, is every time you are going to do something, you are able to come up with things that can make whatever it is stand out from the rest. So you can't stand out if you aren't creative, because you would become a follower. So being creative is thinking outside the box so that you can stand out. That's
Now, this is the last part of the show, and this part I do. Did you know? And what I do is I do some research. It's not an exam, so I'm going to tell you, I'm going to share it. So the did you know is really a learning, so that we have some understanding of your profession. So I'm going to share some of them that I found quite interesting, and maybe just get some of your input on that. And then I did some research on Sierra Leonean DJs. I thought, you know what? Let me go into town, and so while I'm telling you, did you know, you might be thinking about some of the Sierra Leonean DJs. They might come back to your memory. If not, I will shout some of them out to you. So one of the did you knows that was fascinating for me was that the first DJ was a man named Ray Newby, and he broadcasted from a small radio station in California in 1909. And in 2011, the first DJ to win a Grammy Award was the David Guetta that you're talking about. He was the first DJ to win a Grammy Award for his remix of the song Revolver by Madonna. DJing is not just about playing music. It also requires a deep understanding of music theory, rhythm, and crowd psychology in order to create a memorable and engaging experience for the audience. So I would like to say that you have just been crowned an official DJ, because you did mention that was a key defined distinction between somebody that just loves playing music. So do you by any means remember any of the lovely DJs Sierra Leonean DJs, do they spring to mind?
Yeah. So I've got a very good friend of mine. He's called DJ Gravy.
So I've got a couple of names here. I've got DJ Bass, DJ Master Queen. She's a female DJ in Sierra Leone. DJ Master Queen has broken barriers and become a role model for young women who aspire to be DJs. Then I've got one person called DJ Bossman, a popular radio DJ, has a large following in Sierra Leone and is known for his ability to mix different genres of music. In closing, one thing I want to say to you and to our listeners is that having conversation with you, not just today, but behind the scene, and you being a part of the event really changed, or I didn't even know I had a mindset. It gave me a perspective of what a DJ does. I never really took notice, it gave me a greater appreciation. It's just like people look at cakes and really don't look at cakes until there is a need to look at a cake. So I understand that from that perspective of me baking and people not even knowing what's gone into it. But having seen you work with you during the event gave me a totally different perspective to what a DJ does. And I really want to say thank you for sharing your experience with us on the show. And I'm hoping that through conversation that we will have others who will think, I've been thinking about this, I need to do it. So my next question is, if somebody's thinking about it, or if somebody thinks, you know what, I just need somebody to come and play. I don't want to do DJ. I want somebody, a good DJ, a real DJ to come and play. Where can they find you?
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you for that. Yeah, I can be reached via my email address, which is absounds@gmail.com, which is spelled ABZSOUNDS, absounds@gmail.com. Alternatively, I could be reached via Instagram on DJ Abba. So people can reach me if they want advice on music, advice on DJing, or they want to render my services. Anything, not a problem. Thank you very much. It's been an opportunity of a lifetime for this to be part of this show. Thank you.
Fantastic.
You have been listening to Unleash Your Creativity with Omashola. showcasing creativity in its many dimensions.